We think of names as these permanent things. You're born, you're named, and that's it. But islands have lives of their own. They breathe, they change, and they carry the fingerprints of everyone that has tried to claim them. Today, we're looking at the evolution of the name of our island. Before Puerto Rico was Puerto Rico, it was Borikén. But that name didn't disappear. It evolved, it fractured, it multiplied. And the people who wrote it down, kings, bishops, cartographers, poets, left us a trail, a messy one. This is the story of how a name changes and who gets to decide. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Chronicles and Cocktails. I'm Josue, the spirited historian. Today, we are going to be talking about a subject that I came upon not looking for it. This episode is based mostly on the works of Antonio S. Pedreira, an article that he published in the Revista de Estudios Hispánicos in 1928. The title, Los Nombres de Puerto Rico. I was curious and I started reading. It's about 35 pages. I couldn't stop. And then I decided to look at his own references. Why? Well, because I needed to find out firsthand where this information was coming from. And then I started looking at maps. Old maps that I have seen before, but now they were a little bit different. And I started noticing little things that I wasn't seeing before. So here we are on this Sunday morning talking about the history of the evolution of the names of this island. According to Antonio S. Pedreira, when the Spanish arrived, the island's name was Borikén, not Puerto Rico, not San Juan, Borikén. We see it clearly in the map of Juan de la Cosa of 1500, and again we see it as such in the 1508 map of Martin Waldseemuller. This was not imagination, it was recorded knowledge. But even Borikén could be a total different variation of the original. According to Pedreira, and listen to this because this is very interesting. According to Pedreira, the Caribe Indians, not the Taínos, the Caribes. The Caribes had an area which they will go to rest. And that area or that point was called Borikén. And he says here, refiriéndose indudablemente a Borikén. Undoubtedly, for sure, they were referring to Borikén. So, is the name of the island Taíno or Caribe? But language is never static. So we start getting new demonyms. And the variations, they're everywhere. In 1510, Pedro Martir called it Borinqueno or Borincheno. 1647, Diego de Torres Vargas gave us the first use of Boriqueño. It's a name that refused to die, surviving in poetry and song even when official documents tried to bury it. And later, Borinquenses appears as a demonym. Notice something here. Nobody is correcting anyone. Nobody is standardizing anything. Nothing is official. The name is moving through languages, accents, printing. The masses start reading about Borikén, Boriqueños, and they keep saying it. Meanwhile, all over the world, the same thing is happening. They distinguish this island as Borikén, and it is evident, it is documented in the maps. I've seen these maps multiple times, and I never stop to think how these changes came to be, or why. Borikén survives, not because of law, but because of poetry, literally. So people use the same names they hear, and that matters, because that is how things get changed, or how things evolve. But then, politics stepped in. On the 19th of November, 1493, Cristobal Colón arrives to the island. He actually didn't step out. He baptizes the island La Isla de San Juan Bautista. So on his second voyage, Cristobal Colón passes through Puerto Rico. He actually stops on the west side of the island. This is highly debatable in Puerto Rico. Where did he arrive? The reality of it is that there's nothing for certain. I believe he arrived on what today is Añasco, because that's the way he describes it. That he called it the Aguada. Well, Aguada is what they called everywhere they went to get water. That's where the name comes from, Aguada. Fuimos a hacer la aguada. They went to get the water. You know, that's how Aguada, Puerto Rico, the municipality and town, gets its name, which is nearby, but I believe that he arrived somewhere where Añasco is today. But Cristobal Colón arrives 1493, and he names the island to honor the Prince of Asturias, Juan, the son of the Catholic monarchs Fernando and Isabel. The earliest forms even show San Juan. So there are variations in the writings, even as early as that. Then comes the gold. Juan Ponce de Leon gets permission from Nicolás de Obando, the governor of Santo Domingo, and he arrives in 1508. He settles in the area of what today is Guaynabo, northern Guaynabo. And what he settles there becomes the city of Caparra. So he starts mining gold, right? And on his first try, he gets 830 pesos worth of gold. Of course, the governor Obando is happy, the king is getting excited. And in 1511, 8,900 pesos worth of gold. Then another remittance of 10,000 pesos in gold. By this time, things are looking good. Cayetano Colitoste, later estimates that the mines were worth 4 million pesos by 1536. King Fernando, because of all this money, he calls Caparra la ciudad del Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, the rich port, because of the gold that he's receiving. So at around 1514, you start seeing a shift in people calling Caparra la ciudad del Puerto Rico. Linguistics just evolve by itself. It's something that you sometimes can't even control. And I want to point this out because we're going to talk about something later on these episodes. Borikén evolved to quite a few variations. It's the same thing with San Juan and Puerto Rico. It starts evolving. And then we're going to see how it's going to be the same example for everything else. So stay tuned, stay with me. People are starting to call Caparra la ciudad del Puerto Rico. But then the people of the city of Caparra move. By 1521, the city moves to where it is today. Suddenly, people are confused. Is the island San Juan? Is the city Puerto Rico? To fix it, or make it better, they started using the mouthful San Juan, la del Puerto Rico, to distinguish it from other places named San Juan. And this is where things get really messy. Documents begin to show strange combinations. San Juan, a ciudad de Puerto Rico, shows up in a letter by Juan Ponce de Leon to the Cardinal de Tortosa. San Juan de Puerto Rico, written by Alonso Manso in 1528. So here we see Puerto Rico spelled in just one word and with a capital letter in the P, Puerto Rico. By 1582, Captain Juan Melgarejo finally distinguishes Ciudad de San Juan del Puerto Rico and Isla de San Juan de Puerto Rico. You see how things they're not coming together because they don't come together at all. They just keep changing, evolving. The confusion sometimes is seen in one single document, as it is seen in a document dated on the 28th of September of 1703. Here, King Felipe, when he appoints Don Antonio Correa de los Reyes, Capitán, in the same document, he starts as en la Isla de San Juan. He ends it with en la Isla de Puerto Rico. I mean, talk about an identity crisis, right? Same document, two names, no correction, no apologies. By the 1700s, the names were playing musical chairs. Maps were showing all kinds of abbreviations, spellings, Spanish, French, English. Even the Italians had their own way of naming the island. But this is the one that really, nuts. In the paper Observation of the West Indies, published in 1836, the female form of Puerto Rico appears. Puerta Rica, which makes sense because Puerta was the entrance and it was a rich one. So yes, by the 19th century, Puerto Rico becomes the more established name for the island, together with Borinquen, which is a variation of Borikén, which is probably the variation of Boekén. These are the two more widely used inside the island. Printing presses that were arriving to the island helped with the propagation of these names, Administration helps, repetition helps. And then, when you thought everything was settled, it wasn't. And another variation makes an appearance. But contrary to popular belief, it's not a new variation. It's a very, very, very old variation. And that we're going to be talking about next Wednesday on the second part of these episodes.